The name is misleading. When most people hear tax-free savings account, they think of a glorified savings account. In reality, it's a tax-free investment account with virtually no restrictions on what you can hold inside it. You can invest in stocks, bonds, ETFs, mutual funds, GICs, real estate investment trusts, REITs, and more, and every dollar of growth happens completely tax-free. Here's what we'll cover: TFSA basics, the 2026 numbers, the recontribution rule, and strategy 1, invest for growth, not savings. Stick around, the strategies in here add up to real money. TFSA basics. Before we dive into strategies, let's nail down the fundamentals. The TFSA contribution limit for 2026 is $7,000, up from $6,500 in 2023. The annual limit has changed several times over the account's history, which is why many Canadians don't realize how much total room they may have accumulated. If you've been a Canadian resident age 18 or older since 2009, when the TFSA launched, and you've never contributed, your current cumulative room is $109,000. That's a substantial amount of tax shelter, and it's far more than the average Canadian has in an unused TFSA room. Note, cumulative room assumes Canadian residency and age 18 plus since 2009, with zero prior contributions. The recontribution rule. When you withdraw money from your TFSA, that contribution room does not return immediately. It returns on January 1st of the following year. Let me illustrate with a real scenario. Here's the order. January 2026, you have $7,000 in TFSA contribution room for 2026. You contribute $7,000. June 2026, you need money for a car repair. You withdraw $5,000 from your TFSA. July 2026, you get a bonus and want to invest it. You contribute $5,000 back to your TFSA. Result, you've over-contributed by $5,000. The $5,000 you withdrew doesn't return to your contribution room until January 1, 2027. By recontributing it in July 2026, you've exceeded your 2026 limit. CRA will assess a 1% monthly penalty on that $5,000 excess until you correct it. Here's the order. January 2026, you have $7,000 in contribution room. You contribute $7,000. June 2026, you withdraw $5,000 for a car repair. Your 2026 contribution room is now $0. You still used up that $7,000. January 1, 2027, the $5,000 you withdrew returns to your room on January 1, January 2027, you can now contribute $5,000. Plus the new $7,000 2027 limit, equals $12,000 available. The takeaway: think of your TFSA contribution room as a year-locked resource. If you use $7,000 in 2026, that's it, you can't reuse it in 2026, even if you withdraw it back out. You have to wait until January 1, 2027. Strategy 1. They put their TFSA money into a savings account earning 2 to 3%, when the real power of the TFSA is that it's a tax shelter for investment growth. This is the biggest opportunity most Canadians miss. They put their TFSA money into a savings account earning 2 to 3%, when the real power of the TFSA is that it's a tax shelter for investment growth. Consider the difference between two scenarios over 20 years. After 20 years, the index ETF portfolio grows to $420,759 versus $197,748 with GICs, a difference of $223,011 entirely tax-free. Here's the math: the difference, $223,011 in additional wealth, completely tax-free. If you were to earn that same $311,759 outside a TFSA, at a 50% inclusion rate and a 40% marginal tax rate, you'd owe roughly $62,000 in capital gains tax. Inside the TFSA, you owe $0. This is why your TFSA is a vehicle for equity growth, not for cash savings. A 2% savings account is wasting your tax-free shelter. Use it to hold diversified, low-cost index ETFs that can compound at 5 to 7% annually. Consider the difference between two scenarios over 20 years. After 20 years, the index ETF portfolio grows to $420,759 versus $197,748 with GICs, a difference of $223,011 entirely tax-free. Here's the math: the difference, $223,011 in additional wealth, completely tax-free. If you were to earn that same $311,759 outside a TFSA, at a 50% inclusion rate and a 40% marginal tax rate, you'd owe roughly $62,000 in capital gains tax. Inside the TFSA, you owe $0. This is why your TFSA is a vehicle for equity growth, not for cash savings. A 2% savings account is wasting your tax-free shelter. Use it to hold diversified, low-cost index ETFs that can compound at 5 to 7% annually. Strategy 2. Most Canadians keep their emergency fund in a savings account earning next to nothing. But the TFSA is actually the ideal place for it, and here's why. Your emergency fund needs to be 1. Accessible, 2. Safe, and 3. Liquid. The TFSA checks all three boxes. You can withdraw money anytime, no questions asked, no withholding tax. And the beauty is that if you withdraw for an emergency, your contribution room comes back on January 1st of the next year. Here's the order. January 2026, you contribute $7,000 to your TFSA for your emergency fund. It's invested in a GIC ladder or high-interest savings holding within the TFSA. July 2026, your car breaks down. You withdraw $4,000 from your TFSA emergency fund. December 2026, you still have your $3,000 emergency cushion in the TFSA, and your contribution room for the year is exhausted. January 1st, 2027, the $4,000 you withdrew returns to your contribution room. You now have $4,000 plus $7,000, 2027 limit, equals $11,000 to contribute. You can rebuild the emergency fund while continuing to invest. The key insight: your emergency fund isn't dead money inside a TFSA, it's money with optionality. If you don't touch it, it grows tax-free. If you do touch it, it was there when you needed it, and your contribution room bounces back next year. Strategy 3. Retirement income preservation. Here's a rule that changes everything for retirees. TFSA withdrawals do not trigger OAS clawback. Many Canadians don't realize how restrictive RRSPs become in retirement. When you withdraw from an RRSP, that withdrawal counts as income. Once your income exceeds $95,323, the 2026 OAS clawback threshold, you start losing your old age security benefits, at a rate of 15 cents for every dollar of income above the threshold. TFSA withdrawals don't count as income. This is huge for retirement planning. Here's the order: you're 72 and retired. You receive $35,000 in CPP and $28,000 in OAS equals $63,000 total. You need another $30,000 to live comfortably. If you withdraw $30,000 from your RRSP, your income jumps to $93,000. Still below the OAS clawback threshold, so you keep your full OAS. If you withdraw $30,000 from your TFSA instead, your income stays at $63,000. No OAS clawback at all. Once you hit the OAS clawback threshold, the effective tax rate on RRSP withdrawals is catastrophically high. By using your TFSA strategically in retirement, you can preserve your OAS while managing your income tax load. This strategy also applies to other income-tested benefits: Guaranteed Income Supplement, GIS, Canada Child Benefit, CCB, and Gulf Standard Time/Hawaii Standard Time credits. TFSA withdrawals don't affect any of them. Strategy 4. You essentially get two tax shelters from one pool of money. Here's the order: you earn $100,000 and have $7,000 in TFSA room unused. You also have RRSP room available. January 2026, contribute $18,000 to your RRSP, using both current year and carry-forward room. Your RRSP contribution reduces your taxable income to $82,000. At a 40% marginal tax rate, you get a $7,200 refund. March 2026, your tax refund arrives. You immediately contribute $7,000 to your TFSA, using your full 2026 room. Result, you've sheltered $25,000 from tax across 2 accounts, with $7,000 in the TFSA earning tax-free growth forever, and $18,000 in the RRSP deferred until retirement. This works particularly well if your marginal tax rate is expected to drop in retirement. You get the deduction now at 40%, then withdraw and pay tax at 30% in retirement, while using the refund to build your TFSA, which has zero tax forever. TFSA versus RRSP. The perpetual debate, TFSA or RRSP? The truth is, they're tools for different situations. Here's when the TFSA is the superior choice, the safest default for most Canadians. Max out your TFSA first, then use your RRSP for tax arbitrage. The TFSA is more forgiving, more flexible, and has no hidden downsides. Common TFSA mistakes. We covered this earlier, but it's so common it deserves emphasis. Withdrawn funds return to your contribution room on January 1st of the following year, not immediately. If you withdraw and recontribute in the same calendar year, you've overcontributed, and CRA will charge 1% per month in penalties. If CRA determines you're day trading inside your TFSA, they can deem the gains as business income rather than capital gains. This defeats the entire purpose of the account. CRA looks for frequent buying/selling, short holding periods, and evidence that trading is your business, not a long-term investment strategy. The solution: buy and hold. A TFSA is for buy and hold investing. If you want to day trade, do it in a non-registered account and accept the tax bill. Here's a subtle one: U.S.-listed stocks in a TFSA are subject to a 15% U.S. withholding tax on dividends. Your TFSA doesn't protect you from this because the tax applies before the money reaches your account. To avoid this, use Canadian-listed ETFs that hold U.S. equities, like VFV or VSP. Canadian-listed vehicles can claim the treaty exemption and avoid the 15% withholding tax. It's a small edge, but over decades, it adds up. The bottom line. The TFSA is the most underutilized wealth-building tool available to Canadians. It's not a savings account, it's a tax-free investment vehicle with no income requirement, no age limit, and incredible flexibility. If you take away 4 things from this article, here's the order: invest for growth, put your TFSA to work in diversified index funds, not savings accounts earning 2%, understand the recontribution rule, withdrawn funds return January 1st of the next year. Don't overcontribute, use it strategically in retirement. TFSA withdrawals don't trigger OAS clawback. This is a game changer for retirees. Feed it with RRSP refunds. Combine the RRSP refund pipeline with TFSA contributions to maximize tax shelters. Most Canadians will leave hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table by not optimizing their TFSA. You don't have to be one of them. Ready to optimize your entire tax strategy? You've got the playbook. Keep optimizing.